All right, we are now ready to score and assemble our card base. So we've got all of our pieces here. We are going to score along the 6-inch line. I'm going to score at 1.5 inches and 4.5. And then I'm going to fold them in and make sure that I've got really nice creases there. Making sure that these two right in here are not overlapping. They should just meet perfectly, and you want your sides aligned perfectly as well. So I'm doing that with all 4 pieces. They're all scored exactly the same. And by getting nice creases ahead of time, you're going to make sure that your card folds nicely when you go and assemble it together. The other thing you want is, I'm using this tool here to do my scoring, and part of it is because this one, after years of use, it's not really it doesn't have a really very fine point, and this one does. So I am using this one because I'm just going to get a little bit more precision out of it for this one. And for this particular card, precision is important, especially for doing the card base. There we go. So last piece here, all ready to go. Let's move my scoreboard. All right, and now we are ready to glue our pieces together. So I'm just going to unfold them. So this here is just shy of 3 inches. Right now I am gluing this part right here. I don't want the glue to come past 1.5 inches. So I'm putting glue just shy of the 1.5 inch mark, and you have to use liquid glue for this because you need some time to shimmy it in place. You need to make sure that your corners are exactly straight. This has to be perfect. Oops. And by using liquid glue, you have time to move things into place before it starts to set. If you're going to use tape, you're not going to have that little bit of wiggle room, and you want to make sure that you can get those edges absolutely perfectly lined up. So now I'm going to do this part here, and I'm using my mat to let me know exactly where my 1.5 inch line is, so that I don't go beyond that. And this is definitely a part of this card that I would not rush. You want to make sure that you've got those edges and those corners perfectly lined up, and then I like to press to make sure that my glue is adhered perfectly. Again, using my grid on my mat here to make sure that everything is perfect there. Press it into place. This last one is super easy because you've got the fold here on your paper to see exactly where the edge is. And just make sure that you keep in mind that the glue is going to spread out as it adheres to the cardstock, so make sure that you give it some space to do that. All right, so I've got my card base here all ready to go. You can open it this way. So this particular one, I'm opening up like a book first, and then I'm opening it up and down, and I'm just pressing these folds just to make sure that they're nice and crisp on here. And there we go, we've got our card ready to go. So what I'm going to do, because I've got all my pieces here, for this particular card that I'm going to be doing first, because I have them all cut and I have some time, I am going to glue them into place. Again, if you do the second card with the printed paper and you have a directional print on that, you're going to want to wait until you're putting your image pieces down, because you're going to want to make sure that you have your directions to your cardstock facing the right way. This particular one, it doesn't matter if my card is going one way or the other, the print is going to look the same no matter what. So these pieces that I'm cutting, or I'm gluing them into, are 3 inches by 1.5 inches, and because my pieces are 2 and 7/8 by 1 3/8, they're just a 1/16 of an inch shy, so I'm centering them in those panels. You want to make sure that your pieces of paper are shy, because you don't want to interfere with the folds of the card. And if we were to make them 1.5 inches by 3, it would interfere and the card would not fold properly. And really, if you wanted, you could go a step further and create a second mat for them, but I don't find it's necessary. There's enough going on with this card that I don't think it really needs it. Oops, happen to have two pieces right there. And you'll notice I'm just squiggling some glue on. It doesn't need to be perfect on there. You just want to make sure that you've got a decent amount of glue and that it's got good contact with your paper. Hope you can hear me over my furnace. Oops. Just a few more to glue. And if you prefer, you can glue these while you're putting your card together. Because we're going to spend a little bit of time coloring the images, the stamped images for our first card, I figured if this is already glued down, that will save a little bit of time right there. So third side done, final side here. And because of the folds in your card, it's very easy to see exactly where each of these pieces go. One last piece. All right, so our card base is done for our first card. This is what our first card is going to be. So we are going to, in the next video, we're going to do our stamping, and then we are going to do our coloring for this particular card here. We'll see you in the next video.